Jacob last month had mentioned that the new version of QualiWare is imminent. It has still not been released. We don't have release notes, and I do not have a delivery date for that. So that's version 10.3. So at present, any new deployments or any upgrades, we're taking people to 10.2. At some point, we'll have a feature list for the new version, and we will publish that. But at the present time, we've not been able to obtain any information from QualiWare, and looks like Jacob's in the dark as well. Jacob's actually now back in Copenhagen. For those that don't know that, he was isolating on a small island off the coast, but they allowed him to come back to the mainland, so he's moved back into Copenhagen. In terms of other news, a couple of things. We're going to start to upgrade the content on our website, and we're going to start to post different kinds of scale-ups and accelerators that can help organizations move quickly to deploy QualiWare and to take advantage of various aspects of it. I'm displaying right now an onboarding plan that we've built. We're actually looking to use this with a local customer here in Ottawa, a small department that has had the tool for a while but not made very effective use of it. So upgrading them in terms of the infrastructure. We've identified some items around proof of value project, a primary item and a couple of secondary targets, and looking at their organization's QualiWare EA capability and providing them with some help along that front. So people have asked us in the past whether we have some kind of roadmap for moving organizations forward. Well, we do, and we're going to continue to grow this and enhance it. It will be up on the Close to Reach website so people can access it, and as I say, we'll continue to grow this out. The costing, as an example for this deployment, which is, the customer has the software installed, but there are a few versions back, and they really don't have a lot of in-house capability. So costing for doing this is somewhere on the order of about $30,000. So it's a small project. The other things that, yes?
Quick question. This is Stephen from CBSA. Sorry, I wasn't there at the very beginning, but those accelerators, are they kind of categorized by maturity of the QualiWare adoption, or it's for us to determine what to use?
Well, we're going to have a number of things. For example, we have one that Kirill has been working on for some time for IT service management. So a set of framework and processes built out. It's a starting point really for an organization that may want to use QualiWare for dealing with a service management rollout or change. Service management tools are great, but they really do not allow you to model any of your ITSM processes in advance. So our goal is to provide that base framework in QualiWare. Much like the APQC does for different industries, we want to do that for different areas of within an organization, or to address certain types of functionality within QualiWare. So you're going to see these things start to appear on our website, and you'll be able to access them through a number of means. If it's just documents and information, you'll find them on our support portal. You'll be able to search for them. And you'll also, through the file transfer facility, we will have have export files available so that you can take them and load them up and do what you want with them.
Nope.
So to put, some things are easy, very simple things like this. Others where, for example, the service management work that we're doing, that we're putting together, there's a number of different processes involved, for incident, service request, change, et cetera, et cetera. So, some are a little more involved and they'll take a little longer for us to get up, but that's our goal, is to put those things in place. And if anybody else has anything that they want to contribute, we're going to consider this like open source. So we will take it, generalize it, and put it up on the site as well, if there are things that you want to share. Okay. The other thing I was part of this as well. In the past, Close Reach and other certain departments have built a large number of macros that they use in their in the modeling tool. And I don't know that at one time we did a lot of the testing associated with making sure that they still worked in future versions. We haven't done that recently, and we're going to pick up that ball again as well. So, over the years, Bob and Denise and other people have created little shortcuts and macros and things like that that help you do things. I want to swap the, change the direction of my arrow, put the head on the other end of the line, or changing the color of that arrow, a number of different things. So we're going to pick those up, and again, they'll be, macros are QualiWare setups, so we'll provide those for those people that want to download and use them in their own environments. Every department, is doing their own configurations and customizations. So testing beyond that is going to be on, on the end user. But we'll make sure that it works in the base tool as each version comes out. We have a new training calendar. So this training calendar is not the PDF that we had previously. So you'll be able to move through different months. And, you can see, part of a month here, it's, not white, whereas you can see, different courses that are occurring in a particular month. QualiWare Sysadmin, QualiWare Publishing. This is costing and activity-based planning. That Mike Haley. This is your session. So this training calendar is how we're going to in the future post all of our courses. The nice thing about it is that you can come along and you can actually go to the actual product and purchase it there. So we're just in the process of getting this up and running. The second thing that we have happening is around our coaching products. We are putting up a booking app that will allow you to book your sessions in advance. So make it a little bit easier for scheduling and allows us then to manage and make sure that we have the right people available. And so if they're busy training, Shanti's not available, or we have someone else doing some of the coaching, they'll be able to block those times off so that so you can fit those things into your schedule. So we're going to make a lot of changes. on our site to make it easier from a virtual perspective for people to manage their time and make effective use of the training that we offer. We're actually having a sale, by the way. So if you book 2 courses at the same time, there's a 30% discount on those courses. So obviously we want to, training is taking a bit of a hit, because of the social distancing. We obviously are not offering that in class, but our virtual training is up and running. We ran 2 courses last month, which is a little lighter than our normal course load. And so we're going to continue to load up that calendar and make it financially advantageous for people to take that training. The other thing that's happening on our website.
Can I just jump in about training for one really quick second?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So everyone, we have a basic course coming up on May 4th, as you'll see on the calendar. We have a QCL course on the 11th and an administration course on the 19th. And we also have an upcoming free webinar on Lean and CBP from Landmark. We're making it available to our close reach clients. And then there's also a half-day workshop on CBP coming up, and you'll find those things on the training calendar. Thank you.
We're going to continue to grow the knowledge base that we have, which is supported through Sharewell. And this is where you're going to be able to find all of the accelerators and documentation about them. So we're going to post that information here, so you'll be able to search, and find, for example, things relative to, okay, I love demos. There we go. So our translation suite, the translation accelerator. And we will be putting all the documentation about the various macros that we've tested and available up on the knowledge portal as well. And Rashad's going to talk about the new process that we have for sharing files on the platform. And you'll find information about that here as well. We have some news about the GCEA contract. So that is the government-wide contract for providing QualiWare to different departments and agencies. The last option period on that contract has been exercised. So we have been in touch with every department about current maintenance and support running from June 1st to May 31st, 2021. But as it stands right now, that'll be the end of that contract. We have been working with CBSA, who was the originator of the contract, and we're going to talk with PSPC about extending the contract, opening it to add the additional functionality that's come along in the years since it was granted. So plus licensing and also changing it to reflect, the new architect license and the collaboration license. So in the next few weeks, we're talking with procurement at PSPC. Mokhtar Fall is the contact there, and the people who are client side on this call have probably dealt with him at some point in the past. So anything that you can contribute in terms of expressing, your desire to continue the contract rather than just have it end and then have to rely upon the SALSA would be most appreciated. The advantage of the current contract is that it addresses both services, software, and training all in one package, as opposed to having to use the SALSA for software and then TBIPs or Pro Services or THS for services. So we would appreciate anything that you can do in terms of talking to Mokhtar to assist us in getting the current contract extended. And I mentioned TBIPs. Close Reach has qualified as a level 2 supplier in TBIPs. So that essentially opens us up for multi-year, multi-resource type contracts above $2 million. So, that's been a few years coming, and we've been able to qualify at that level. Any questions? Dan, I have one thing for you, because I know you're going to ask. The video from the last session, we are in the process of editing it, and I'm the holdup here. We have some new software, and we're breaking it into bite-sized pieces to make it a little easier for people to access and to download. So we'll make it available on our file transfer facility, and possibly certain pieces of it on our YouTube channel, which is something that's coming as well. So we're starting to put some basic level, help and information up on YouTube. Shanti's going to be our star.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Was that on your list, Dan?
That was on my list.
there we go.
just 32 more items to go.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I've got in terms of news. So a lot of different things happening. Our office is still closed and will remain so until until we hear otherwise from the province. But we are online, and everybody's working. So we're glad that we're able to continue to support all the different departments. That's all I have, Cecile. I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Great. Yeah, I see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Let me go here. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So like Kevin mentioned, we have introduced this new platform for file sharing. And moving forward, we'll be using this platform to share files with Close Reach and also to download files that we offer, like QualiWare installation files and all of that stuff. So in order to access this platform, you can go to Close Reach support portal, and on the portal, if you go to the sites at the top right-hand side, click on that drop-down. You can choose the file transfer tool. Once you click on it, it will take you to the file transfer website. Then if you do not have credentials for this website at the moment, you can request one by sending an email or creating a ticket on the portal to Close Reach support, and we will get you the credentials. Then once you have your credentials, you log into this platform, and you can create your own folders to dump the data that you would like to share with us. So you have the create permissions for a folder. So you create a folder by clicking the plus the plus sign here, and name the folder by, I think a good practice would be going by your company name. So new folder, then we named it here as test folder. Once you have created the folder will now be visible in the list with all other folders. So you open the folder, then go ahead and drag and drop your file that you would like to share with the Close Reach. And that's pretty much. Once you're done with that, just let us know that the file has been uploaded. We can go access your file. The good part with this file sharing platform is that you have just one account to upload files or to download files, and you have access to all the QualiWare installation file folders as well. So, sorry, I think I skipped this part. Okay, so to download the file, you choose the folder that you would like to open. So open the folder, then click those three dots at the right next to the folder, and a drop down will appear. You click download, and you can download the files from that folder. That's pretty much. Any questions?
It's James. Yeah, Rusha?
Yeah, James, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So I'm assuming though the terms of permissions, the folder is attached to the account. So it's just whoever access to the account will be able to only see their own folders, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So all the clients have
Just to be
access to all the download folders, like QualiWare X, all the folders inside QualiWare X, and likewise.
Yeah, because you mentioned that we can create a folder there and we can upload our stuff to share with CloseReach, and that would just be between our account and CloseReach.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Just
Yes. That's true.
Yeah,
That's
you
correct.
can download from any version of QualiWare. So if you're trying to, if you're running, say, for example, a 6.6 version now, and you want to download and test 10.2, you can do that. But in terms of uploading files, they are secure and they're only available to us and to you.
Okay, good.
All right.
Quick question from Dan. Are the credentials different than logging on to the ticket system?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So okay. Perfect. Thanks.
No problem. So moving forward, any other questions on this?
And credentials are only given to?
The technical contacts, the primary, secondary, and the technical contact.
Right. So again, this is to drive any, requests for files or passing, issue from a problem, incident issue management point of view. Things should be funneled through the technical contacts in your department, and they should be the ones uploading, if you're uploading a dump file for us or for QualiWare to review, or, an export that you've taken, again, to manage that interaction, it's through one of the three primary contacts.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, Kevin. So moving forward, I would like to share with you guys some updates on existing bugs. So can you see my screen? Mm-hmm. All right. So the first one is, so if you look at the columns, I have CloseReach incident ID, the first one. The second one is QualiWare incident ID, and the organization who has logged in, logged the bug, and the data was logged, and a short description and a current status on the bug. So starting with the first one, so DF is defect. So the first one, oh, sorry, I think I'm at the wrong window. Yeah. All right. So the first one starts with SSC. Hashtags are not working. So this issue has been reported to QualiWare, and the QualiWare incident number is QWI3496. And so I'm just waiting to hear back from QualiWare. They are yet to test this issue and identify it as a bug. Then the second one is, that is something.
Question, Kevin.
Yeah, go ahead.
See the date that this issue was raised, December.
Yeah.
We're now April.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why it took so long to respond?
So from what I heard from them last was this was fixed in 10.1, but actually I tried it on 10.1. Now I tried it on 10.2, but this hasn't been resolved. So I'm not 100% sure on that.
And would I suggest that this is cool, but in the future, can we make sure that we do note the version number, the known defects in?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, what you have here is a summary of the incident itself. It doesn't have all of the information, but we can definitely put this stuff together in a table that people can access and take a look at. So QualiWare did address this, said that it was fixed in the new release, but we're still not sure that that is the case.
Okay. So moving forward, the second one was actually reported by us at Close Reach. So the drag and drop functionality is not working on a resource. When you right click and select it from, say, business process 1 and drop it on business process 2. So this has been identified with QualiWare. That's the reason I have the QualiWare incident number 3619. But what I know about this, it's so they prioritize their incidents. So this one holds a medium priority, but I do not have an ETA on it. Then the third one was reported by ESDC on the text editor and tab bar. Description is added with bullets, but these bullets look fine in the editor, but on the diagram, the formatting is a bit messed up. So they get a bit more indented than expected. So this has been logged as a change request by QualiWare, and I do not have an ETA on it yet. The next one was a defect by CBSA. So in this, the choice field in HTML dialog does not like 0 as a choice for some reason. So as soon as there is a 0 in the pick list, the choice field becomes invisible. This has been marked as high priority by QualiWare, and they have identified it as a defect. Moving forward, the next one, 103883, has been identified by QualiWare again as a defect. It was reported by SSC. And this is about implementation and migration viewpoint Archimate template. So in this, you get an error message saying wrong customization selected. So when you reopen the object, so basically once you create an object, fill in the information required, and then you hit OK or apply, reopen the template, that's when you get this error message. So this has been identified as a defect as well. The next one is users cannot right-click a lifeline object, drag it, and reuse on the graph. So the option to reuse on the graph is not working. It's also identified as a defect. Then the spell checker is not visible anymore on version 10, but QualiWare said they are expecting to reintroduce this feature in future, but they're not sure what version it's going to be back in. And that's the end of it.
Okay, thanks, Rishab. We wanted to present those, everyone, just so you were aware of issues that may have been reported by other departments. So, you know, if you come across them, you might come across these yourself. We'll include this with the recording and the notes from our meeting today. We'll put that up on our website, so our support portal, so you can have access to it. We'll put it in the appropriate spot so everybody can see it and see the current status. Any questions about what Rishab has discussed here before we move on? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Rishab.
No problem.
Okay, we're going to make a second attempt to go to Shanti. She had a slight technical issue, so let's hope that everything works. Shanti, are you on there?
I am, yeah.
Hi.
Hope
Okay.
it works this time.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I see you. All right. I'm going to make you presenter. Okay.
Okay. So hopefully everyone can see this okay. Today I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about the generic query in terms of how it relates to some of the data visualization exercises that we've done in class before. So I know a lot of you have taken the data visualization course, and we have previously done it using version 6. More recently, last week, I know a few of you with me for the version 10 course, and we did see some differences in how we would use and generate the generic query going from version 6 to 10. So just to give you some scope of what I'm going to talk about, this is in the context of the data visualization and the exercises you would have encountered had you taken the course through Close Reach. Okay, so we're really talking about those differences that we had to implement in order to execute those exercises. So what were the differences in QualiWare 10 versus what we had to do in QualiWare 6? Okay. If you haven't worked with the generic query before, I don't know if many of you have or haven't, but just a quick definition. The generic query templates or object in QualiWare, it's used to provide data sets that can then be used by other templates in QualiWare. So you may have used a query designer in the past to create the generic query to use in your report definition template. For the data visualization course, we use the generic query so we can read data to create business charts and to also create performance indicators. So those two templates are dependent on the generic query in order to read data. Okay. Okay. In our data visualization course, we do not use, we don't automatically create a generic query by using the query designer or anything like that. We use data that we preset in Excel spreadsheets. Okay, so much like if you were grabbing data from another external source or some sort of database. In our exercises, we structure that around data that exists in Excel spreadsheets. Okay, so those are our data sources that we want to create a generic query with. And the first thing we have to do when we have this sort of external data source and we're not using the query designer is that we need to create that data source connection object first. So creating this data source connection object, this is the first time that we noticed that there was a difference in how we would utilize the object in order to execute our exercise. And then also when we were creating the generic query itself, it also resulted in some modifications in the steps that we used, and so maybe some of the steps that you would see in the future if you were using version 10. Okay. So on the left-hand side of the screen, I have a screenshot of version 6. This is the data source connection object in version 6. And on the right hand, we have the data source connection object in version 10. So our primary difference here is in that very first dialog, I don't have a screenshot of it, but in the very first dialog in our data source connection dialog, nothing had really changed. We were still using a driver and choosing the appropriate driver for whatever format our data was in. In this case, it would be the Excel driver that we were choosing. So that was fine. But when we got to the catalog dialog, this is where we had to make a change. Previously, we were using the ODBC driver to grab that information, and that worked fine. When we went to the test connection, we could see our different sheets and different headings in the table. There is the option of the QIS server driver in version 6 as well, but when we chose that, there we wouldn't be, our connection when we tested it, it wouldn't work. So using the ODBC driver is how we executed these Excel-based exercises in the past. Moving on to version 10, we needed to use the QIS server driver. Okay, and then when we chose that, that was the only way that we were able to test that connection to see that that connection was working. Okay, so that would be a difference worth noting if you've taken the course in the past and you want to try some of these things again in version 10. Okay. So once we got that working, so the test connection was working, then we were fine to go and we could go ahead and create that generic query object. So in version 6, what we will notice is when you create a new instance of the generic query, you're presented with this empty table. So it kind of looks like that little screenshot right on the left-hand side here, where you just get these empty cells. And then you would have to go ahead and double click on the top left cell to access the object editor for the generic query. So once you got into the object editor, on that very first tab called generic query, the very first dialog, you'd go ahead and choose your data source connection, so that's fine. You'd select what sheet. In our case, we had multiple sheets on an Excel workbook, for example, so we'd want to specify what sheet of information we were looking at. And then we would also choose to build this result matrix and choose to execute it only at client side. And that would work. That would work fine. So we were able to read things from the catalog. A weird bug that always happened is you'd get to your last column of data, it would repeat. So you'd see it says year output and then output again. So that would repeat. It was just kind of I don't know, just kind of a bug in QualiWare. It always happened like that in version 6, and then you'd have to go ahead and delete that entry, or else your resulting generic query matrix would have 2 columns of the same data. Okay, so when you go ahead and delete that second output, you'd get that single column. But what you're left with is a pretty stable, static generic query, like a matrix type of presentation of your information. If your source data or your Excel spreadsheet changed later on, you would have to come back in and go rebuild to create another, to update this table, if you will, or this generic query. Okay, so this is actually quite different in version 10, because in version 10, when you create a new instance of the generic query, you're not presented with this empty table. It just opens up the object editor immediately. And even the object editor, just the size and the positionings of some of the options, the fields are different, okay? The other thing that's weird is that you do have to manually add your square brackets around your sheet selection. And I think that's probably the most problematic, because it's not very intuitive to always think you have to do that. Whereas in version 6, under the table selection drop-down box, you would just choose it from the drop-down box, and those square brackets were already in there. And in version 10, you'd have to just make sure that you do go back and add those square brackets around whatever your sheet selection is from your Excel workbook. Okay. Other main differences, now we're using dynamic execution for the business chart. So if I go back to my version 6, I was using result matrix and only a client side. That doesn't work with the settings now in version 10. In order to implement the exercises that we have. So we need to now we don't actually have to choose dynamic execution, that's the default value, so you just leave it as is. And then you generate a preview of the generic query. So it'll show you the data in a tabular format, but you're not actually like building it. It's not something static that you're gonna come back to every time you open up your generic query. It's not gonna pop up on your screen. You're always gonna have to view that preview of it. Okay, you also need to get your default values in your attribute definition dialog, and you're going to notice that rebuild option is no longer available because now it's replaced with a preview button, and there's also no matrix behavior dialog available. Okay, so this is what it would look like. This is the generic query here. So you'll see in the bigger screenshot at the top here, it's a lot longer than, like visually, it's longer than the version 6 one, but it does have the same data available. The main differences here is that choosing dynamic execution, I have to absolutely make sure that I manually add these square brackets in here, which I think is maybe just a bit of an oversight. So I have reported that because I think that should just be part of your drop down. And also when you choose you get your values from the catalog, you won't get that redundancy. So that's actually an improvement, that you won't get that redundancy of the last column. Okay, but what you will notice is other thing you have to do is in the attribute definition field, you have to go get those populated. But when you hit preview, you will see this pop up. It's the filter designer, and it'll show you just a preview of your data what your data is. But it's dynamic, so you're not actually building that generic query. Every time you are using this query, it's going to, from the back end, execute it again. So if there are changes to your data source, it's going to pull in those changes. Now, if you don't want to do that because it can take a little bit more processing time, what I've done is I've just clicked on my enabling of the cache, and that way I'm pulling up that historical or whatever the last time I previewed my data was. Okay, but if you don't, then you're always generating that new data. Okay. So those were the main differences. After that, once we got into actually creating our data visualization objects, whether they're performance indicators or business charts, they operated in exactly the same way. Okay, so we probably don't use a generic query as much as many of you do out in the field there. So I just wanted to ask if any of you have experienced many differences while using the generic query in QualiWare X that you wanted to share.
Well, I raised my hand, but I don't know whether you're watching for that. I didn't want to trap over anybody. I've also noticed that when you, we used to use generic queries also to publish instead of a QRV, and the generic queries don't publish in a grid anymore. They seem to have, the publishing template seems to have dropped the grid, and it only shows the pivot table, so counts on a pivot table. I don't know if you guys have any comment on that.
I don't, but if anyone wants to take the floor, I don't know if anyone's worked with.
I've seen it as well.
Yeah.
And had, to be honest, no concerns. If I try and remember the template that I put the query design into, so that way it did publish in QEP, but I can get that for you. But I'm very happy with the query design, much improved versus 6.
Yeah, if you could share with us, that's Barry or James over at CBSA, that would be great, because we use it instead of QRVs in some cases because of the link values are a lot easier to configure using the generic queries. And so that's problematic for us that all of a sudden it doesn't show in a grid anymore.
All right, Barry.
Thanks, JR.
Can I throw in a quick caution about the generic queries on the web front end that we saw at D&D? We noticed that if your user doesn't have a person object in the repository and they have a read-only license, they will not be able to view the generic query data. So this is something we saw in version 6.6 using generic queries. And so we ended up, we've been updating all of ours to QRVs because they don't require that person object in the repository.
Interesting. We never had the same problem. It's funny. You were going one way, or we were going the other.
Shanti, this is Christine. I had the problem like you said, like with the version 6.6. It's the generic query with the last duplicated item. The thing
So if you miss that part, so you move to the next part, you think you get catalog, you got the field already, you just didn't see that it's duplicate because 6610, I didn't see this.
Yeah,
And
it won't
if you,
duplicate in 10.
yeah, if you have that thing, your chart wizard wouldn't work anymore. So you're not able to launch the, so basically if you did not manually remove it and moving to the next, you're blocked. So it's,
yeah, that's something
it's pretty bad bug.
For.
Yeah.
To watch for. Yeah, it is a bug. It's been there for as long as I've seen it, but luckily that's improved in version 10. Okay, Cecile, maybe back to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Shanti. Any other further questions or discussion around what Shanti just presented for us before we move on? Okay. I think then that Shanti, you can leave that screen up or you can stop sharing. It's up to you. It doesn't really matter. So basically, we're at the point in the agenda now, folks, where we've covered off all of the items that we had planned to. Kevin, did you have anything further you wanted to say about the accelerators or the macros, or did you cover that in your news?
Covered.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to open it up for basically open discussion, Q&A. I know we're not all physically together, so it's a little bit more difficult, but we do appreciate you all joining virtually. We have 32 people joining us today, some folks that joined after we've gone through the introductions. If anybody has a topic that they'd like to bring up, please feel free to do so. If you have any questions for any of the other folks that are on the call, you're more than welcome to ask it. If we were all sitting together in a room, we'd be able to do that face to face, but it's a little bit more difficult. So I'll just leave that open for a moment and see if anybody has anything they'd like to discuss.
So I ran into a problem. This is Adam Cunningham, Close Reach in D&D. I ran into a problem. I'm trying to move export files around from home, and some of these export files are pretty large. And I thought we had a great solution for it. We were trying to use a GC Collab recently, and every time I upload a file to GC Collab and then download it, it no longer functions as an importable file. And I'm just wondering if anyone has any experience with that, or if anyone has another suggestion of ways to move large files.
Adam, this is Kevin. I actually got a client to sponsor us on GC Collab for a while because I was looking at using that as a way of doing file sharing for a little while, and just couldn't. Had issues with it as well. So there's something about how files are stored or accessed, and I ran into the problems 2 years ago.
Okay.
Is this sensitive info in that file?
I would say no. It's. Why
don't you just use cloud? Put it on a cloud somewhere.
D&D is pretty tough to. Well, there's a lot of softwares that are blocked with D&D. We can't use a Dropbox or any software like that. FTP is blocked. Memory cards are a definite no-no.
Adam, Eric here, Chief. How you doing?
Hi, good.
So, Adam, I did some work with GC Collab and the previous, I guess, GC Connects version of it, and you're allowed up to including protected A on GC Collab, so it's pretty decent. But I wasn't aware of the issues with the I guess it reformats the files or what have you. We do have a contact. It's at Shared Support Services, I think, or Treasury Board somewhere. That takes care of the GC Collab, but it sounds like they're not putting any effort into modifying that. So, anyways, I can give you the contact. I'll find the contact, and I'll give you the information to see if they can help you.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Adam, can you use our new file transfer facility?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask for an account and give that a shot. But
So
it's for
Lan is the technical contact, should have has access to that. So I'm sure we can get you access, and you can put it up there, and Lan could try to pull it across.
But I've been looking for to share files with other clients also. Can you affect who can download the file afterwards? Like some of our users are at home now, and I'm moving stuff from the D1 to users such as Bob over here.
Yeah, let's talk about that offline, and we'll see what we can do to help you out.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I know the export files are really a zip, but did you try re-zipping or putting the zip into a zip?
Well, what I've been doing is just renaming it to a .zip to be able to upload it, and then when I download it, I rename it back to a QRX file, and I can still extract it, and I can still look at the contents once it's been extracted, but I can't bring it into QualiWare at that point.
I thought a zip of a zip might help.
I could give that one a shot. Yeah.
Zippity doo dah.
Zippity doo dah. A zip of a zip. Anything else? Anybody?
Dan, you said you had a couple of things.
Actually, he said he had 32.
I was just giving you a hard time on a Monday, Kevin.
There you go.
You said you had 32 things.
Is it only Mondays you give him a hard time?
Well, I figured because he didn't actually work today, he just chipped wood. I'd give him a hard time.
Oh yeah, it didn't actually work. Oh.
Nice.
The needles on some of this wood will go right through a leather glove. Just brutal. Anyhow, besides, I have the fridge down the hall here. I can just have a beer while we talk.
Yeah, nice.
Lucky.
Well, I can see that some of the CBSA money went into that neat tractor.
I have a question for the group. I've done some different things in QEP where we are using a context menu and buttons for the form, the HTML form, I forget the proper name of it. Is it worth giving you guys a 5-minute demo? I don't know if it's worth it or not to see. There was that, and looking at some diagrams that I did up that are dynamically changed based on what you select in QEP. So it's all QEP stuff.
What version?
10.2.
Okay.
If there's interest, I don't mind giving a demo. If not, I'll keep it to myself. Just not sure. I'm not sure if people are there in QEP yet, because if you're not, then there's no point in doing the demo.
Thanks for offering. What does everyone think?
Is the demo for the next meeting type thing, or like we'd be very interested to see that?
Yeah, I'm not ready now, so
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
probably for the next one if there's time. I don't need long, like 5-10 minutes.
You should be just ready to do it like that, you know? I'm disappointed.
I could be, but I need to log in and stuff, and it's not worth the wait. Because it's really, I would just do a 10-minute demo.
JR, we can put you on the agenda for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be great.
That'd be very interesting.
If
I'm
people
always
were
listening.
interested, I didn't want to do it if you weren't interested. That's all.
I'm always interested in what you got to say, JR.
Yeah, you're full of shit. Okay, thanks, Barry.
No, we're always interested in things that people have tried, and if there's some functionality that you figured out works in your environment, odds are it will work for someone else as well. So this kind of sharing is very important, actually.
All right. Sign me up for next week or next month.
Yep. Thank you. I had a note in my my to-do list to come back to you anyway, because you did semi-volunteer before.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Thank you very much.
Denise, we had talked about having SSC present something. Do you think they could be ready next month?
Yep, I don't think so. Maybe we could talk about it offline. Depends on how things go in the next couple of weeks, I guess.
Okay.
Fair enough? Okay.
Thanks, Janine.
Just thought I'd put you on the spot.
I put her on the spot earlier, Kevin.
Oh, okay.
Actually, sorry. Speaking of our next user group meeting, which of course will be the last Monday of May, really interested in hearing from you guys about what kinds of things you'd like covered. I want to allow, of course, for an open discussion and a free-flowing dialogue like today, but we do want to have a few things identified to touch on, to present, such as JR showing his QEP stuff. So if there are things that you're interested in learning more about, if there are things that you've done and you'd like to present, like JR, feel free to get in touch with us and let us know. And let's try and make this, continue to have this as a good time for people to, share their knowledge, and even though we're challenged about, with not being all physically together.
Hey, Cecile, it's Denise again. Yeah. I was just wondering, I really enjoyed the bugs. I really enjoyed going over the list of bugs and seeing where they are. That means you don't spend as much time spinning your wheels if you already know it's a known issue. That's one of the things that's very important. Would it be possible to have that and the list of the FAQs that Kevin was talking about, the knowledge articles? If it'd be possible to keep a running tally on those, because then you could point people to it, or you could actually use it as background information.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good idea. Thank you. Okay.
Well, this really is sort of the first time we're sort of calling QualiWare out on items, that had been sitting there for a while. So, following this meeting, obviously, I'm going to have a bit of a chat with them, and maybe the visibility will help us get some better answers. The other thing is, the issues may be outstanding, but as we identify workarounds as well, obviously, things like Shanti discovered here with the differences between 6 and 10, as we identify those workarounds and what's necessary, we'll start to publish those things as well, all on the support portal.
That's great.
Kevin,
thank you.
Kevin, Cecile, it's Eric here.
Yeah.
Maybe just a reminder, I signed up for one of your webinars. I think it's taking place on Wednesday, activity-based costing. I think you guys are teaming up with folks in Halifax there.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. I did briefly touch on it when we were going through the training updates, but for everyone, no, it's great. It's a great reminder. Everybody who is on our distribution list and receives these user group notifications also would have received late last week an email for a free webinar that Landmark Decisions, Mike Haley, is putting on next week, and we have offered it to our Close Reach clients as a value add. So if you are able to join, I believe there are 2 dates. Mike, if you're still on there, I think it's the 29th or May 7th.
Yeah, 29th this Wednesday from 11 to noon Eastern, and May 7th from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
So if there's anyone on the call who's interested and you did not see that, just drop me an email afterwards, and I can send you the information. Mike is also doing a half-day workshop. Mike, if you want to come back off mute again, a half-day workshop on collaborative business planning, and that is available for registration through the training calendar, if I'm correct.
Correct. Yeah, and that's there's two offerings of that too, May 14th and June 8th, half day, and it will be a little more in depth. We are going to, I'll say, demo what we've done with CBP, which is a QualiWare application, in the webinar as well. But you'll be more hands-on around implementation challenges, so on with the workshop. So.
Great, thanks, Mike.
No problem.
Okay, I think we have come to the end of our meeting. Kevin, if there's anything else you wanted to add before we wrap things up?
No, I have nothing else. If anyone else has any questions or anything they want to discuss, Neil, this is your first time on a QualiWare user group meeting. So let's see, what time is it there? 2:15 right now.
So welcome and glad you were able to join us today. He might be on mute. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And, you know,
Cecile, I just asked you to stay with me on for a sec.
Yes, I will. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for joining us today. And, you know, we'll work on having some updates on some of the stuff for you next time. And we will be posting the various video segments that we recorded from the data modeling session last meeting on the website in the next few days. So we'll let everybody know who attended this meeting that it's been posted.
Great. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for your participation and joining us today. It was good to hear from you all anyway. See you next month.